Hello, everyone. Thank you for watching I See Melanie. Today, we'll be talking about the sneak peek, the trailer for the finale episode of season 3 of White Lotus. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it's almost done. I'm going to miss the show so much. This finale episode is going to be so intense and it's going to be amazing, and I can't wait to see it. So, let's review some of the things that we see in the trailer. We start off with Timothy and Pam, and Timothy is asking about the fruits that keep on falling. And Pam told us in the very first episode that those are poisonous fruits. Don't eat it, it could kill you. And she confirms this as well this time around. And so we know that Timothy doesn't have the gun that he took off of Gaytalk, and he is still bent on potentially following through with the MS plan that he had. And so, oh my gosh, I think this is so dark. This is really, really dark. If he uses this as his weapon, I think, it's bad to be, killed by somebody in any way. But, a gun, if you're shot in the head, you'll die pretty much instantly. If you are died from a poisoning, I just think that's even worse somehow. I don't know if it really makes a difference, but it just seems so sneaky and underhanded. I think that's what it is. I guess they're both pretty bad. I don't know. We can debate the ethics of methods of murder another time. But yeah, I will just be so disgusted if Timothy goes through with it. Not disgusted with the show, because I think this makes for a very interesting story, but disgusted in Timothy. Somehow Zion ends up back at Gary Gregg's house and they're having a conversation. And just for the little bit that we're seeing, who knows? I don't know because I haven't seen the entire scene as yet. But looks as though their conversation, Belinda finds out, comes to wrangle Zion back home. Zion, get over this 100K. Maybe he thinks that, or maybe Gary Gregg proposed, funding his schooling or funding a trip backpacking in Europe or whatever after he's done. Who knows? But he needs to stop. This man is serious. He's a potential killer. Why is this young man just flirting with danger so much? So we see Gaytalk is talking to his boss, and presumably he's talking about the robbery, and now that he has more information. And we see him look off at Valentin, and Valentin is there with Fabian and also Sritala and Jim. So they're back on the property. And you know who else is back on the property, it appears? It is Rick. So now Chelsea is done worrying for a half a second. She seems genuinely happy to see Rick. Rick looks so light and airy, and he's smiling, a deep, genuine smile. We've never seen Rick like this. But of course, he's going to go to do something stupid because Chelsea says she hopes he doesn't. He hasn't really scratched that itch, I'm assuming. And now knowing that Sritala's back on the property and her bodyguards presumably are back with her, he's being really foolish if he's sticking around. But we see him entering some room. I don't know what it is. Well, I guess we'll find out on Sunday. We see that Jacqueline now looks a little upset about the blow up she and Lori had. And we see a shot of Lori looking on at Jacqueline and Kate in the pool. So she feels like she's an outsider. So I actually just wish that these ladies could make up. I don't think they're going to be great friends going forward. Too much time has passed. They're too different. It's not going to work. We see Victoria telling Piper that their family, have the best life. And then we cut to a shot of the blender, presumably where the suicide fruit is being mixed up in. So, yeah, a bit of a dichotomy right there. We see a shot of Timothy telling somebody he loves them very much, and he looks like he's crying. He's about to break down. Somebody reaches up to give him a pat on the back. Can't really tell who that is, but I'm really hoping this isn't right before he serves his son a suicide smoothie. We flash back to the first scene of the first episode where Zion and Amrita are fleeing the bullets. And then we see a lot of quick shots. So we see at some point, we see somebody flailing in the ocean. It looks like the ocean and not a pool. Frank is clearly losing it. Again, he has lost his sobriety completely. He looks like a mess. Gitok running with the gun, which is never a good situation, and an occupied body bag. So it's going to be a crazy, crazy episode. I cannot wait to see it. I know that these previews, these trailers always have misdirection in there to kind of keep us, on her toes, not really knowing what's going on. But either way, I know it's going to be very, very intense, and I cannot wait to watch it. So here are some of my other speculations when it comes to the finale. In last week's recap episode, I mentioned that I thought the gunman or gunwoman could be either Belinda or Victoria. Forget I said that. I never said that. I don't think that's the case anymore. I could be wrong because I know this trailer has misdirection, as all good trailers do, but I do think it is gay talk because we did see him running with the gun and all this talk about the killer instinct thing and all the motive he has now to potentially kill Valentin or Alexei. Not that I think that killing is the right remedy or the right action to take after a robbery, but I do think he has that in his mind. The whole situation with Sri Tala and her husband Jim and Rick and Frank is going to be a disaster, I'm pretty sure. We don't know if Frank is there at the White Lotus, but if he is there, we see he's completely gone off the rails and he's a wild card, who knows. But I do think that Sri Tala's henchmen are going to go after Rick. And I think there's a possibility that Chelsea could get caught up in it. Bad things happen in threes, and she's had two bad things, which is one more. And again, she's gotten nothing from her relationship with Rick. The one thing she might get is death, which is very, very sad. To be honest, as despicable as I think Timothy is for even thinking about killing his wife and his son, I don't think he will have the nerve to actually do it. I could see him putting the suicide fruit in the blender and then chickening out and not serving it to his family members, but I could also see him doing that and leaving it somewhere, and then somebody drinks it thinking it's, a fruit smoothie, and it ends up being, this deadly fruit. I hope that doesn't happen. That would be very sad. We haven't seen Porn Chai in a while, but I still believe that he and Gary Gregg have some sort of arrangement. I think they're trying to pull the wool over Belinda's eyes. Nothing out there really substantiates this claim, but I feel that in my bones. And Lochlan is not going to want to stay at the meditation center. He's going to want to go back home and live his wayward life over there with his parents telling him what to do. So I do have predictions as to who I think will die. I actually have 5 people in mind, which is kind of cheating because that's just so many, but I'll list off who I think. So I have Chelsea. Again, I think that she's going to be collateral damage somehow in that whole situation with Rick and Sri Tala's husband, Jim. We have Valentin. I say that because I think Gaytok is really offended. He's betrayed and he wants to prove himself to have that killer instinct. And I think he might kill Valentin. And I also have, as kind of an aside, I think possibly Jacqueline. If I were to choose one of the ladies from that group, I'd say Jacqueline only because of her proximity to Valentin. Mind you, they all kind of interact with him because I guess he's kind of like their butler on the trip, but potentially Jacqueline. I don't really think that very strongly. And we have Rick. Rick is reckless. Rick is very reckless. And I think he could be set up to be in a position to get killed, but I think that Chelsea is going to take that spot, unfortunately. And lastly, I think Timothy could be somebody who ends up dead. I don't actually think he'll have the nerve to kill his family, but I think he could kill himself. Out of all those people, if I had to rank one person as the one person who I'm pretty sure will end up dead, or I'm the most sure will end up dead, I think it's Chelsea. I think it's Chelsea because, again, she's got nothing out of this trip. This guy, Rick, has put everybody in perilous situations. Frank falling off the wagon, Chelsea just being alone and potential collateral damage. And this is the third bad thing that could potentially happen to her. So I would love to know if you guys kind of feel the same way I do. What are your thoughts on the trailer? I would love to know what your thoughts and theories are on who will end up in that body bag. And yeah, I can't wait to watch this finale episode. It's going to be amazing. And of course, I'll be here next week to talk about it. So yes, thank you for watching me here on I See Melanie, and I'll see you later. Bye.